well, I don't have a $20,000 equipment set up, or I don't have the right chemicals, or I need to know, XYZ before I can get started. When in reality, you really should just, get your stuff together, go out and just try to figure out how you can provide value in return for money. I hit trending page like a couple different times.
How did you kind of evolve as a content creator and grow in that craft?
With YouTube, I really studied, man. I really was studying like people like Mr. Beast, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, all these people. This is the mistake that a lot of people make. They think about pressure washing and they go, okay, I have to pressure wash the house. The biggest thing that's really important in pressure washing is your
Well, today we're going to go to LSU country and hear an incredible entrepreneurial story. It's not Joe Burrow, and it's not that gymnastics girl making all that social media money over there at LSU country. But we do have Justin from Forever Self-Employed today. This dude is crushing it in his business on social media. He has over 500 million views on YouTube, 546 million views, 500 million. And he's just absolutely crushing it. His short form vertical content is amazing. I look up to what he does and just am in awe of the excellent content he's putting out. So he has a pressure washing business and really learned the ropes of what it takes to run a profitable, successful business. And he shares that with us on the internet. I've watched his videos and learned equipment to buy and kind of learning the ropes with my rookie pressure washing services. But anyway, without further ado, welcome to the program, Justin.
Hey, Paul, thanks so much for having me, man. Honestly, I'm proud that you looked up that statistic. Not everybody knows how many channel views people have. Like the subscriber number is an easy number to find, but shouting out my channel views, I really appreciate that, man.
546,898,270,
or 500 million. Either way you look at it, right?
Yeah, now, but the content, the quality of the short form vertical content in particular, it's just so good. It's so well put together.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. I started messing around with this short form content. I'm not gonna lie, it was not my idea at all to like start making short form content, but I saw this kid making Subway sandwiches and talking behind it. And I'm like, man, I have so much B-roll about the service industry. I was like, maybe I could shed some light on, some of the things that we've come across with regards to like interactions with customers and pricing and things of that nature. And then, before I knew it, I started making these and some of them started catching. I'll be honest, in the beginning of when they started offering shorts on YouTube, I hit trending page like a couple different times with it. So over time, just developed a little bit of a structure for how I run those shorts, man, and they can get you a ton of engagement. I love shorts. I kind of hate the fact that they're taken away from some of the long form stuff, but I love the reach on them. I think it's really great.
Yeah. Now, did you start on TikTok or Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels, or was YouTube like what kind of got you? You really started popping up in my feed, I'd say about like 3 or 4 months ago. And now I see you like every day. I was like, I got to get you on the show. But what was the origin story behind all the success on social media?
So it started way before Reels and TikToks and stuff like that. So I actually started my business in 2018, and I had a landscaping business first. And then from landscaping, I was like, I really like to start offering some pressure washing. So I started doing some pressure washing jobs. And then from there, I had a vending machine business. I got a mobile concession business, which was like a big snowball stand on wheels. I'm not sure if you know what snowballs are. And then I started flipping cars. So I was basically doing like all these different side hustles. And I noticed people on YouTube getting a ton of views in these different spaces. And I said, man, I need to get on YouTube, because making money online is fun, or making money in general is fun. But when you're able to leverage social media to work for you kind of 24/7, that's kind of where my mindset was on it. And it was really before you saw a lot of service industry content on some of these platforms. So anyway, I started making content probably right around like 2019, 2020. Slowly but surely just started learning the platforms and evolving. And I think I had about 100,000 subs by the time shorts came around. I would like test my content on TikTok. And if it did well, I figured it'd probably do well on shorts on YouTube too. And then before you know it, man, just started racking up views and getting attention and pretty cool stuff,
Yeah. And I think I come from the lawn care industry. And like, if you go, our gas stations here in Atlanta are Racetrack, Quick Trip, you go to a gas station and everyone's like mean mugging each other. Like you're the competition and no one's talking. And it's weird vibe. Watching your shorts, like you provide valuable information to somebody who's starting their business. Like I was watching the pressure washing, like how to start your pressure washing video. And I got the surface cleaner you told me about. You'll get a little affiliate kickback on Amazon. I used your links, and I got the pressure washer and I got the little ball valve. Like the stuff you're sharing is like, man, I wish when I started my business in 2011, I was guessing. Like I didn't know any of this stuff. So it's like you're sharing like the secrets publicly, and I'm sure it's helping a lot of people.
I tell this to the people that I work with, like through YouTube and stuff all the time. Like maybe it worked to our advantage. Maybe it was our disadvantage. I don't know. When I first started my business, there was no YouTube. There was no there was YouTube obviously, but I wasn't on there searching like how to start a pressure washing business on YouTube. I was just like, my dad has a pressure washer. I think I could, go wash some stuff and make some money. And I think it worked to my advantage because I wasn't second guessing myself. I wasn't like, what equipment do I need? And, down on myself because I didn't have enough money to start. Like, I was just like, okay, let me get some flyers. I'll go pass them out and then I'll look at the job and I'll just decide how much it costs. So I think social media can work to people's advantages and disadvantages. We're in the age of information, right? But too much information can kind of be to people's detriments because then they start overthinking. They're like, well, I don't have a $20,000 equipment set up, or I don't have the right chemicals, or I need to know, X, Y, Z before I can get started. When in reality, you really should just, get your stuff together, go out and just try to figure out how you can provide value in return for money. So I think it could go both ways. I like to provide value to people, but in the same sense, too much information can be, detrimental to your detriment.
Yeah, I was just texting yesterday with a guy named SB Mo, and he's got a pressure washing channel too called SB Pressure Washing, right. And he's got 7.8 million followers on Facebook now. I was just like, dude, like we're just texting back and forth, but he's like consistency and hard work. Like that's how all this stuff has popped off from him. So what did you learn from pressure washing that's gone into the content creation? Because I know content creation is exhausting and fatiguing. Like, how has what you learned from being out sweating in Louisiana, cleaning someone's driveway, worked into being in the air conditioning and making content?
Right. I think it's all about testing things and then seeing what works. So YouTube was a little bit different than how I did my pressure washing business. Pressure washing and some of these other endeavors I kind of embarked on was just like, had the equipment, let's go figure it out. And we learn as we go. With YouTube, I really studied, man. I really was studying like click-through rates, audience retention, really the things that kind of move the needle with social media. But I knew that, and I kind of talked to you about this a little bit before we started the podcast, everything is about freedom in my eyes. So before I had all these businesses for myself, I worked for somebody else. And my first step in that freedom acquisition was I want to work for myself. I want to dictate my own hours. I want to dictate how much money I'm going to make, pretty much everything that goes along with running your own business. And my next step of freedom was, how do I disassociate the time that I'm spending working to the amount of money that I can make? And one of those ways was by leveraging social media and leveraging content on social media. So I think a couple different things can help you be successful in both fields, but one of those things is just studying what works. And that's kind of what I did. Whenever I first got on making content on the internet, I was like, these guys are getting a lot of views in making pressure washing videos, landscape videos, cutting grass and things of that nature. What are they doing? And how can I backwards engineer that to have success in my own business? And so I hope people take that away from my channel as well. Look at the things that, I'm doing in my business now. Take those things and implement them for yourself. But everything is about acquiring more freedom. Like we've talked about this before. It's, you work for somebody else, you work for yourself, and then you try to figure out, how can I acquire more freedom? How can I, disattach, like I said, my time from the amount of money that I can make? And essentially that's what social media was, man, for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Where did the name Forever Self-Employed come from?
I knew I was never going to work for anybody else ever again. So I said, the funny thing about YouTube is I made one video, and it was 2 years before I really started cranking on YouTube. And it was about a Ford Ranger that I had flipped. The video ended up getting like 30,000 views, and I checked on it, and it was like the only video on the channel. And I'm like, dude, 30,000 views. I should really start making some content on this channel again. And I was like, what's kind of the message that I want to share with regards to the channel? I knew at that point in time, I never wanted to work for anybody else. I never wanted anybody to dictate my schedule. I never wanted anybody to tell me how much money I could make. I never wanted to, have to work harder or go to the boss and say, hey man, how can I get a raise? Because, I want to increase like my standard of living or whatever the case may be. So I just figured that Forever Self-Employed was going to be pretty fitting, because that was going to be my mission for the rest of my life, was to remain forever self-employed. And I thought maybe some people could resonate with that who, wanted to embody that same mentality.
That's awesome. Well, I want to pick your brain about pressure washing. And the reason being, I was mentioned to you off air, I used to do lawn care. And in Atlanta, Mark, especially, I was telling you that I was doing the head coach of the Falcons, the captain, the defense coordinator, a bunch of they got all these, they change their names. It's like passing coordinator. I don't even know. They got all these funny names for the coaching staff. But the problem is you have to mow every single week in Atlanta because they like the grass nice and short. And we'll scout it.
The golf course.
Yeah. We use real mowers. So it's, you can't miss a week. If you miss a week mowing, forget about it. They're going to fire you because you just can't. So I travel all the time. I'm going to Exmark a couple weeks from now, and then I'm going to Toro, Minnesota. Then I'm going to North Carolina, and I'm going to the huge convention, which is pressure washing in Nashville. And so I can't mow weekly anymore. I can't do social media, podcasting, and mow weekly. It's impossible. So what I'm thinking about doing on days where I'm here is just going out and pressure washing and doing a pressure washing job, because I can schedule those. I use Jobber. I can just schedule it and block off week I'm not going to be here.
Right.
So I'm a complete rookie. I did a couple, Justin. Last year I got done. I pressure washed my producer's driveway for him, and he called me the next day, and I thought he was going to be like, "Man, it looks great." And he's like, "My driveway looks like the Cincinnati Bengals helmet." Which
that's not what you want.
Is, yeah, it's like streaks.
Right.
It looks horrible.
They call them tiger stripes, right?
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Shout out to your boy.
Absolutely.
Anyway, what did I do wrong? What do I got to do in my next job so I don't have those streaks?
Right. So pretty much the biggest idea with regards to pressure washing is you're killing off all the organic matter on whatever surfaces that you're cleaning. So there's a lot of different chemicals that go into pressure washing. One of the main ones being bleach, or what we refer to as sodium hypochlorite, because it's more of a commercial grade bleach. It's actually stronger than what you would get like in a Clorox bottle. Like that's why people do pre and post treatment. So on concrete, a lot of people will pre-treat the concrete with a chemical mixture of bleach in order to kill off all the organics. And that way it just makes it easier to clean. Either that or they do a post-treatment. So what you did was you clean the driveway. You could go back and post-treat it, and that would, probably remove some of those lines. Now, I'll tell you this. For me, I never liked chemicals. I never liked dealing with them, keeping them in the truck. I didn't like the smell of them. I just didn't like chemicals at all. And for anybody who's got a pressure washing business who does big jobs, like, it's necessary and it's mandatory. However, if you're doing driveways and stuff like that, it's not necessarily mandatory. So what you can do is if you don't want to mess around with chemicals, you can basically cross hit what your whatever surfaces you're cleaning. So let's say you're doing a driveway, you go vertically to clean it on the first pass. If you make another pass and go horizontally, it's going to mitigate a lot of those lines, if not most of them. So one of the issues is you might have been going a little too quickly, but the second issue is you just weren't, hitting it from two different directions. So whatever direction you're hitting it from, you're going to have lines. So unless you want to use chemical, the second best thing that you can do is just cross hit, and it should take care of some of those lines.
So it matters going vertically first and then going horizontally second?
Yeah, it just, like, cross hitting is basically, and I used to do this all the time whenever I first started cleaning driveways, because I'd get the same lines, and it's the worst because the customer pays you and they come out and they look at their driveway and they see lines, and it's a bad feeling, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? But cross hitting, for some reason, it just kills the lines going the opposite direction. Either that, or you can get some bleach in a spray up bottle, or if you got a way to, apply it through a soft wash system, which is going to cost you a little bit extra money, you can basically apply it. You can leave it there, and it's going to should kill off the remaining of the organics on the concrete.
Okay. Now my next issue is the same house. Thankfully he's my producer, so he is my friend, and
right.
I did a horrible job for him, and I'm going to go back and make it right. But he's got this house, and I was using it was a 4 gallon per minute. Excuse me if I'm talking French or
You're good. No, it's perfect.
But I think it was 4,200 PSI, and it was 4 gallon per minute. So I thought for sure I'm going to be able to shoot the top of his house, because he wanted me to get the junk off his house. But when I was shooting my little gun, the wand that came with the thing, it wouldn't go high enough. And so in your video, you were talking about, like, I don't know the terminology, but like these little handgun things that can get it. Would you think that's the solution?
You can use a couple different tools. The biggest thing that's really important in pressure washing is your gallons per minute, and then whatever tip you're using. So do you remember what color tip you were using? Were you using like a yellow tip or like a white tip?
I tried them all. I tried the red 0 degree, and I tried
Don't use the red one.
I heard you say that in your video, but I literally put a hole in someone's house twice, because the red one did that. And then, actually I was on the customer's driveway and I drew a smiley face. And then when I got done, the smiley face was still there from using the red tip, which was embarrassing. I'm glad I didn't draw something else, but
you can actually etch the concrete probably, because it's so much pressure. Like literally it's probably taking up the concrete.
Yeah. But then I had like the tip, it wasn't in all the way. And when I went to shoot it, it went flying off and it put a hole right through the customer's house. So
oh my God.
You're talking to a rookie with pressure washing. What gun do I need to get to be able to reach the top of the house?
I'd recommend you get a tool called an X-Jet, and basically what it is it's an attachment that goes on the top of the gun, and it is similar fan tip, but it allows you to control it by turning it. And so, like, the more you turn it, the tighter the fan; the less you turn it, the wider the fan. So basically, what the X-Jet does is it's going to help you get a ton more reach. It is $200. But it's going to help you get a ton more reach. It's going to help you hit those high up areas, as well as it's going to have a hose that can go into a bucket. So what you really need to be doing is whenever you're washing a house, like I said, you want to use the bleach in order to kill all the surface pollutants. So with the X-Jet, you can mix in a bucket, a house wash mix, and then essentially just get that mix onto the house, and it's going to work to kill those organics. Because this is the mistake that a lot of people make. They think about pressure washing and they go, okay, I have to pressure wash the house. Well, that's a mistake, because if you put too much pressure on a house, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, especially if it's got oxidized siding. You can poke holes in things if you're using the red tip. Like, you can really damage some stuff. So what you want to do is you want to take the X-Jet, you want to get a chemical mix in the bucket, so that way you got some bleach in there. You treat the house, let it dwell for a couple minutes, and it'll start killing. You'll notice that it starts killing all that organic matter. The green will start turning brownish, and then you can essentially rinse it down with the same X-Jet. So X-Jet is going to be a really good tool for you, unless you wanted to invest in like some higher end equipment. Like I said, you can get to some soft wash systems and things of that nature. But essentially, people have this mentality of, I have to pressure wash. Well, no, we really soft wash because it's less damaging to the surfaces, as well as gallons per minute is more important than PSI. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, I should be able to take off anything. I got 4,200 PSI. Well, it's really more beneficial to have more gallons per minute, because then you have a higher flow rate. You're able to get more reach. You're able to put out more gallons, because we're not trying to put more pressure on something, because that's ultimately how you damage it. I hope that answered your question. That's kind of like a long-winded response. So do you want to go back to, I know you had mentioned you were trying to do some jobs in your spare time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I can't do lawn mowing anymore. I
Right.
just can't commit to these opportunities to travel is what I enjoy doing more than mowing. A landscape job's 2 to 3 days. If I'm going to do a $10,000 sod job, I'm going to come in and gut everything, haul it off, spend a day grading, and then spend a day installing the sod. It's a 2 to 3 day job if it doesn't
Right.
rain. The way I look at it is pressure washing's a 1 day. I'm going to go in 1 day and I'm going to clean the driveway, the sidewalk, and I'm going to make content doing it. So now I have short form vertical content, because it's so I'm friends with Lawn Care Juggernaut, SB Mowing, these guys, and these guys showed me the blueprint, like how they
Right.
put the angle of their cameras and all this stuff. And it's like pressure washing is more satisfying to watch than lawn mowing, because
Right.
if I put a video with a trending sound of mowing overgrown grass, it will do pretty good. Pressure washing, that is even more satisfying to watch. I'll talk to people like my sister and her friends and like, oh yeah, I watch those videos on TikTok. They don't even know how to pressure wash or how to start one, but they think it's satisfying. So
Right.
I'm like doing double and like go make a little bit of money, clean a driveway, and get B-roll for content.
The beautiful thing about it all is like, there's no difference between service businesses, right? So pressure washing and lawn care are the same thing with regards to like customer acquisition, things of that nature. It is more beneficial with pressure washing, at least for your circumstance, that you could do one-off jobs and you wouldn't be tied to a recurring service. Now, that's one of the benefits to lawn care for people that aren't very good at getting jobs, is you just have to get one, or you have to get a handful, and then you could do them for the whole year. So I'm not sure, man. I would, obviously you can do a couple things to get your first customers, like leveraging your inner circle. I think you did a great job getting your first job with this guy who, I think you said he was your producer, because you want to, if you're going to mess up, you want to mess up on somebody's house that knows you, right? Because you're
Yeah.
going to give
Oh, I
yourself.
messed up. Yeah, I'm not ready for the country club. But now I have in
Right.
job where I have a huge directory of all my landscaping. I have warm leads. If I hit them up and I use MailChimp, I can get customers. I just don't have the skill set to go to a nice house yet and soft wash a house or barely pressure wash a driveway. But I'm excited to get into it.
Well, dude, I'll hook you up with this. So for anybody who doesn't know, we have a course called How to Wash. It's the #1 selling pressure washing training in the industry. It basically goes over everything from, cleaning every different type of surface on a residential property, all the job walkthroughs that you get with it, property protection, what equipment, how to use it, how to set it up, pretty much everything. So I'm going to hook you up with that, so you can, that'll get you right on your way.
Awesome.
People want us to make these videos and give away all the information. The course is literally like over 6 hours long. Like, it has everything in it. It's got all the chemicals, chemical upsells. It's got wood cleaning in there. It's got everything. So I'm going to hook you up with that. Anybody else who's interested, definitely check out the How to Wash course. I don't know if I can give you a link or anything, but
Yeah, if you want to give me a link, and we'll put it in the show notes for sure. Well,
yeah.
switching gears, I'm super passionate about social media, and I know getting 500 million views on the internet, it took a lot of intentionality and things of that nature. So, how did you kind of evolve as a content creator and grow in that craft?
Like I said, really looking at the things that were working and kind of modeling success, if you will. So I think one of the benefits to my channel was I kind of got into the service industry space before it was really solidified like it is now. I mean, now you kind of have your major players in all your different industries, right? Like you got your lawn care guys that you know of, you got your pressure washing guys that you know of. Before that, there was only like a handful of guys on the internet that were really sharing videos. And I think, to any different endeavor, those first people to get there kind of get the first land share, if you will. They kind of get the Lions portion of some of that. So I think that helped me out. Also, just trying to, I watched a lot of different YouTube content on what makes things work with regards to YouTube. Studied like people like Mr. Beast talking about audience retention and click through rates and all that kind of stuff. So studying, modeling success, and then trying different things until we ultimately found a formula that worked.
That's fantastic. And then how has your like the principles in pressure washing, because essentially you have two businesses, the pressure washing business and then the social media business. I don't even know what that's called, but
Right.
the entrepreneurship small business mindset from providing a pressure washing service to Sweet Sue, like you're just doing one service to one person. But with the
Right.
internet, you're at scale. That pressure washing course I'm going to take, you got customers in all the states, I'm sure probably even different countries. So how
Yep.
did the principles in pressure washing prepare you for a business with like an octopus with all these different opportunities?
That's a really good question. So, customer acquisition is really the first thing that you need to learn whenever you're starting any business, right? How can we bring in people? Also, how can we provide value in exchange for money? So, and the same principles apply. Miss Sue down the street needs a pressure washing job done. We do that job in exchange for money. Now, there's people on the internet that want the knowledge that comes with somebody who's been in the industry for a long time. And so we facilitated on that front with regards to providing the information in exchange for money. So I think they're very similar with regards to how can we provide value in exchange for money. As far as customer acquisition goes, it's, with regards to like a pressure washing business, for example, it's how many different ways can we get in front of as many people as possible. With regards to selling on the internet, same principle applies. How many people can we get in front of? The amount of eyeballs you can get is equivalent to how much money you're going to make. So the more people that you can get in front of with an offer, the more money that you're going to make. So I think a lot of those things kind of gel together, as well as customer retention, customer lifetime value. There's a lot of different things. Like when you do a job for Miss Sue, we don't want to just do one job for Miss Sue. We also want to upsell her on other things. So upsells work the same in selling on the internet as well. We also want to service her again next year. So we need to make sure that we're keeping good track of all of this customer's data. So that way we can follow up through emails and text and things of that nature. So the parallels are endless. Like pretty much every facet of what you do on pressure washing is the exact same. There's some differences, but with regards to keeping customers, selling them as much as we can, providing as much value as possible in return for money, all of those things are pretty much the same on both sides.
In addition to Mr. Beast, like who are some of your influencers that kind of stretch you as an entrepreneur?
I honestly don't know, man. All I know is this is I used to wash, right? And I would wash after school because I was going to college at the time. So I was doing it part-time, but pretty much the whole time I was washing, I was learning. I've always tried to like see where I could go next and see what avenue would bring the most benefit, if you will. So while I was washing, I was just listening to videos on how people were making money on the internet. Like I knew it was possible. You see these guys blowing up every day, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, all these people. Now they're on a larger scale, but I just wanted to make money without having to break my back every day. And the other thing is I was like, how can I leverage these jobs that I'm doing? And so I created something that you might have seen before. It's called a job recap. And so I was like, I'm going to film this job and I'm going to see if it can't live forever on the internet. So basically everything just came from me trying to acquire more freedom. Like I said, I didn't want to be tied to the amount of money that I can make to the amount of hours that I spend working. And YouTube and social media gave me the opportunity to leverage views to work for me 24/7 while I was sleeping. I remember the first time that I knew about Amazon affiliates, right? So I signed up for Amazon affiliates and I started like I put all my pressure washing equipment on there and I was like, hey guys, if you need pressure washing equipment, you want to know what I use, check it out down in the comment section or in the description. And I remember the first couple bucks I made on there. Like I'd wake up in the morning and I'd look over at my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and I'd be like, dude, I made $5 last night and I didn't do anything. And it was the biggest revelation in my life. I was like, this is incredible, Paul, did you have an experience like that?
Oh yeah. I check my Amazon every morning and I'm like, this is amazing.
To think that while I was sleeping, someone could watch a video and click a link and make a purchase, and I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to shake a hand. I didn't have to kiss a baby. I didn't have to send a quote. It was just it's one of the greatest feelings ever, was to be able to leverage, what I was already doing into more money that I didn't have to sweat for. So that was probably my biggest inspiration, was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. I knew college wasn't really the route for me. I did go to college. I didn't finish. I have like 5 classes left or something, but I knew that I wasn't going to like go to college, finish, and then go sign up for a job somewhere. So I was like, what other way can I make it out of here? What other way am I able to leverage, like I said, the work that I'm already doing into more money? That just so happened to be through YouTube and figuring out how to sell through affiliates and stuff like that.
Yeah, Logan Paul went to Ohio University. That's where I went, and that's where Joe Burrow's from. Not Jake Paul. Logan's the older one. He would get made fun of at college because he was always making these things. They were called Vines back in the day. I
remember Vine.
Yeah, it was like MySpace, Facebook, Vines. People would make fun of him on campus because, like, who's this guy think he is or whatever. But he just loved making content and creating videos. And now I think his brand is called Prime. It's like an energy drink or hydration drink. And that dude's got to be making so much money from, like you said, eyeballs. And now he sells a physical product. And Mr. Beast eyeballs, and now he sells Feastables. You got to take advantage of the internet. And you're crushing it. You're short form vertical content.
I want to get better at Instagram. I'll be honest. That's probably my weakest point right now.
I heard Gary Vaynerchuk call it like this: like at the beach, you got the front row real estate that's on the coast. Like if you got on TikTok in 2019, Charlie D'Amelio and all these people, they got the beachfront property. You get on TikTok now in 2023, you can still do decent, but you're going to be back like way inland, like, right. 9 or 10 streets inland. So Instagram, when they made the switch to Reels, that's when I got on there and took off, because 2021 on Instagram, 2022 on Instagram, anyone who made Instagram Reels blew up. Now that's how it is on Facebook Reels. I just helped a guy start a Facebook in January. He hit 500,000 yesterday.
Wow, that's incredible.
500,000. Yeah, and he's getting recognized in public left and right. The thing with Instagram was the real estate there was in 2021, 2022. It's really hard now.
I feel like there's a less of a connection between the audience now. Like when you go to the short form content, it's so readily available. It's so swipe to the next. So you're not really building a relationship as much as you were before. I'll be honest, I didn't like when Instagram made the switch, because it just feels kind of disingenuous to me, and it feels a little bit harder to make a connection with your audience. I like it personally because I can grow on there now, but like even I have 88,000 followers on there, but like I don't feel any more, you know what I mean? When they made this switch to short form, it's just not as much of a connection.
Yeah. Now I am working with an actual Meta employee that got some program. When I only have 121,000 on there, but somehow I got invited to be in their like program. So I get to talk with this girl who works for Meta. Thing she told me is like, if you want your stories to get engagement, you got to do a few of them a day. And you got to use like the polls, the stickers, the questions, like the things that they offer you. If you use them, you'll get more engagement on the stories. And then like what she told me is just look at your insights. What time of day does your graph have the biggest peak? And post at that time every day. Do your daily post. Or if you want to do 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you commit to do, let's say you want to do 1 a day, then do 1 a day. If you do 2 a day, do 2 a day, but stay consistent, because she's like, the algorithm will then anticipate, oh, Justin's making a video at 1 p.m. or 1:30, and then it just like promotes it out. But
that's great advice. The other thing I've been seeing is a lot of people will tag someone else, and so I think it shows up on their Instagram and the other person's Instagram, right?
If you invite a collaborator. So let's say I want to make a pressure washing post. Look how dumb I did this driveway or whatever. And then I tag. It's not a tag. When you click on tag, you can do a traditional tag. That's not what you want to do. You want to do an invite a collaborator, because then it will pop up in your thing and say Paul Jameson, or say Green Street Podcast in my handle, will say invited you to collaborate. And then if you accept, it's going to share it to your feed and my feed. So I try to do that on every post, even if the person has less followers than me, because it's going to get me more reach, because now it's going to be on their page and my page. And so, yeah, that's definitely a hack on Instagram. But Instagram's hard right now. Facebook Reels is easy. Like, I just shared one example of a guy who started in January, hit 500,000. My other boy Marlon started recently. He is over 100,000. My boy Jarek started a few months ago. He's at 315,000. And all three of those started this year, and they post a Facebook reel a day, and they all blew up on Facebook.
Are they making money off of it? Is there any money on Facebook?
Yeah, so it's called Ads on Reels. And I have one friend, I'm not going to say his name because you guys know who I'm talking about. He made 50K last month, 1 month.
There's no way. Are you being serious?
I promise you, dude. I promise you.
Man, I need to get on Facebook then. I appreciate
1 month. And that's just ads on Reels. That's not like selling your course, your merch, all that stuff, sponsorships.
I'll tell you where there's probably a huge land grab right now is people putting sponsored posts in Reels. Like, I bet there's not a lot of people doing them. So I bet you can get those spots for super cheap. I just don't know of anybody who's absolutely crushing it, with regards to running ads with Reels. That's something that I want to figure out too. I'll be honest, I'm not great at selling through Reels. It's very hard to sell. Like, selling in that time frame is very tough, and just how quickly people swipe is very tough as well. So I wish I could get some analytics on people running ads into that space and see like which ones do good, because I'm sure like as far as ad space goes, that's got to be like the most undervalued ad space right now.
Yeah, totally. And then the other component is sponsorship. I have a sponsorship coach. His name's Justin Moore, and he lines me up deals. I don't know the pressure washing world, but like in lawn care, we work with John Deere and Lowe's, just a bunch of companies like that. But they pay a ton of money in sponsorship, because it used to be that money went on billboards, TV, radio. Now they're spending it on social media influencers. And like one guy in the plumbing space, Roger Wakefield, he gets big money. You look at those signs behind him that says Ferguson or whatever they say, those companies are paying a boatload of money for that stuff. And so it's like, if you're in the home service space industry, whether it's pressure washing, lawn care, or plumbing, I can't compute why guys are not on social media. Like,
right.
You're crushing it, but it's like, everybody should be trying to crack the opportunity, whether you're getting Facebook ads on Reels, sponsorships, just growing your own brand or whatever. And then when your customers look at you and they're like, oh, you got 100,000 followers. And like, it's easy to sell the job. It's like, they're like, oh, you're a celebrity. Like, really?
Everybody wants to do business with whoever's the biggest, you know what I mean? Whoever's the best and whoever's got the most eyeballs on them. I think there's so much space. Roger Wakefield, that I'm glad you mentioned that. He reminds me of like the plumbing Dave Ramsey for some reason, but there's just so much space, man, just for service industry people to step in and kind of take a land grab. Because like painting, I don't know anybody. Like, I know there's one painting guy on YouTube that's really big. He's been making videos for like 10 years, but I don't know anybody that's like crushing it with shorts. Like, I don't know anybody that's necessarily crushing it with plumbing shorts. Like, I just think that within these service industries, some of these jobs that people do are satisfying and they're interesting. And as long as you can learn how to tell stories, man. Have you seen the guy who does the carpet cleaning? He does great. You haven't? He's got great stories. He's great he's very personable.
Even in the lawn care, people think it's saturated. There was a guy named Greg Chisholm who started making lawn care videos back in 2013. He had 13 billion views. With a B.
Lawn care juggernaut loves to talk about him. When I talk to him, he always tells me about him.
Yeah, Geek the Freak. Juggernaut's been to his house, and I've been to his house as well. He lives in St. Louis area. And when I was in his house for the first time, where he was showing my buddy Naylor and I we're in his like mansion. He's got a closet, and he was showing us these Hot Wheel cars. He's like, "Oh, dude, look at this collection." And I'm looking over in his closet, and I was like, "Is that a gold play button?" He's like, "Oh, is that in the way?" And he was like moving it. I was like, no. Like, I've never seen a gold play button. I was like, can I like touch it? And he's like, yeah, if you want. And then I pick it up and I'm like holding a gold play. And then I look and I was like, is that another one? He's like, oh yeah. And then he had like 11 of them. Cause what he did is he took his channel, which he blew up on making toy review things with his kids. Right. And then he dubbed it into Chinese language, Spanish. So obviously you have to hit silver play. So he got all the silver plays. And then eventually most of them hit gold plays. He hit gold plays 10 weeks in a row. He was number one on YouTube, like above Justin Bieber, Vivo, I'm talking number one, like the number one YouTube channel. Mr. Beast was probably in diapers, right? 2013, but he was number one for 10 weeks in a row. And he's made millions and millions of dollars. I mean, his house is is crazy. He lives in this nice neighborhood. He's the president of the HOA, but he's been on the podcast. But it all started making lawn care content and sharing it. And then like you mentioned, the lawn care juggernaut, been to his house, and he's like, I can make these videos. SB Moen, Al Blades, all these brothers, they're making bank and they're just making content. And it's like, there's so many millions of people watching YouTube. Like, go film yourself and tell me your success story, man.
The funny thing is, man, there was a huge land grab for that overgrown lawn space. I don't know if you noticed, but like some people started making that overgrown lawn footage, and then it seemed like everybody was making that overgrown lawn footage. I like to keep my eyes on the service industry and see where kind of everything is moving. And like I can't blame like SB Mowing and like some of these other guys who've kind of done the pressure washing thing, because that's what I did. Like they probably saw my channel, they probably saw some of the other channels that are having success and said, you know, these guys are getting a ton of views with pressure washing content. Let's try it and do it for free and do that whole model. And they had a ton of success. But it just goes back to show like the people that are willing to make the bet early on themselves and to try something new in a new space, they have the biggest reward to gain. It's like the people that you heard investing in Tesla whenever they first started. It's like, oh, well, now I'm multi-millionaire. Well, if you have to be one of the first people, and then you have to be willing to take a risk and kind of look dumb. And luckily for me, I was one of the first people to get in on some of the pressure washing stuff, but you see it in all these other spaces, you know?
And these guys are consistent. Al Blades posts, I think, every Tuesday without fail. And he's got the best intros. Like he's got Mr. Beast intros that are just so good. And the juggernaut, I was hanging out with him down in Tampa in January. He's like, I got to go film because the grass is dormant in Oklahoma. He's like, I got to go to Florida where it's warm. And he's working his butt off filming videos that probably won't even be published till next year.
Dude, Juggernaut's one of those that holds videos. I'm like, dude, how many videos you guys haven't edited? And he's like, oh, dude, like 27. I'm like, oh.
Gave me a headache or a heart attack because I'm in his truck and he films with these GoPros. And he just, I mean, they get banged up and everything and they're done. He just throws them in the back. And he's got about 26 GoPros in the back with all his footage. I said, dude, what if you got in a car accident and like your car caught on fire? Like you'd move all that footage. He's like, no, I'll see Jessica and whatever, and I'll give them to her. And I'm like, I back everything up. I'm like, you got like 26 YouTube videos here that are going to get hundreds of thousands of views or millions, and they're just sitting in your trunk. Anyway, that's him. But yeah, he's literally got videos for years.
The whole way that those videos are shot is very interesting because like they shoot them, but then like there's no audio really over them. Like a lot of times they just kind of let them play. I'm like, who's watching these like for 45 minutes? Are people just putting those on and just letting them play, you know?
Yeah, and they're falling asleep. So then it loops to the next video. They get all this watch time, but it's satisfying sounds. And I think it's people are so lazy they feel like they did something by watching the Juggernaut or SB Mowing or Al Blades clean up these yards. But I haven't watched SB Mowing film, but I've watched Al Blades and I've hung out with Al Blades and Juggernaut. They'll spend all day on one yard. Like let's say it would take you 2 hours to go do it, or maybe when I'm that like an hour just to go mow edge, blow, clean it up, move on. They'll be out there for 8 or 10 hours. Cause like if you actually watch the video, they'll have the camera at an angle when they mow this section. And that's like a movie set. Then they'll go move the camera and then they'll go mow the other section. I'm out there all day. Like, dude, I'm gonna go grab some lunch. Like they literally treat it like a Mr. Beast set. But when you're watching it, you don't even notice that the camera just keeps changing angles and they're always in the center and like they're playing chess. It's working.
That's why I had to restructure my business because I was doing pressure washing, man, and I was having to do the same thing. I'd have that GoPro and I knew that after so long that shot needed to change. And so stop washing, go move the camera, and then like you keep going and then you move the camera again. And it's like it's a whole other job filming. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And that's why I kind of got out of me actually doing the pressure washing and now I do more so the marketing for pressure washing guys. And I just go film them because it's a whole other job just trying to do the content creation alongside doing the labor of, you know, these jobs.
Yeah, totally. On a basic driveway, run-of-the-mill driveway, how many times you think you need to change the camera angle to make sure the footage is good?
Oh man, I got to change it. Like in my head, I know about every couple passes, I'm going to change that angle because I just want another shot. You know what I mean? Because you think about attention spans and things of that nature. The good thing about what I did early on is before these guys started doing some of these disaster cleanups, my channel was two-part. It was part satisfying, part business-related content. So I was hitting two birds with one stone, and that's kind of what I touched on with regards to my shorts. It's the same principle. It's business related as well as satisfying. So it's dual purpose. I get twice as large of an audience because you think about how many people really care about pressure washing. Like Probably not that many, but like we have to make it more relatable and figure out ways to give topics that can go wider, you know?
Yeah, and what Lawn Care Juggernaut and SB Moan and Al Blades, those guys are 100% entertainment. They're
Right.
not selling any course. They're monetizing off of sponsors and the AdSense.
Right.
And they're in a whole different game. But still, it's like you got to move that camera so many times, and people don't realize, like, the Juggernaut will go do this little yard, and literally I went down there. I was hanging out with him in Florida. It was awesome, but it was like it took him all day to do one little small yard, and it was wild.
Dude, they really should bring somebody with them, man. I'd double team that thing now, especially with the views that they're getting. I'd say, y'all can come move this camera for me.
I
every
was
time.
the cameraman. I was the underpaid.
That's right.
But Al does it by himself. I don't know if SB has a cameraman. It would make sense to delegate and have someone film you for the amount of money they're making, but they just like to do it. I mean, Al Blades edits his own videos. He'll film it, edit it all in one day,
Right.
and rinse and repeat.
People don't understand, man. Hey, if y'all want to go be creators, bro, start going, film all your jobs and go edit them and do voiceovers and your off time. You got to be hungry to be successful with this, especially early on when you're not making money. And so if anybody thinks that it's easy, give it a go. Because I remember whenever I was going to school, I'd get off of school, I'd go pressure wash something. And when I got done pressure washing, I'd go home and edit videos. And I just did that on repeat until, we found success. So it's just part of the game. You got to be hungry to succeed,
Yes, sir. Well, let people know how they can connect with you and what courses and everything you have to offer.
Absolutely, man. So it's Forever Self-Employed on pretty much everything. Forever Self-Employed on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everything. I'm not really on TikTok anymore. TikTok's kind of a waste of my time. I feel like I don't even post over there. As far as courses go, we got the How to Wash course. Is the number one selling pressure washing training in the world. So if you guys want to learn how to clean every surface on a residential job site, the proper chemicals, how to use them, how to mix them, as well as the equipment, property protection, things like that, check out How to Wash. We'll leave a link for it somewhere in this video. Other courses, we have courses on marketing. I have my Facebook ad strategy, how to get customers. We got the Inner Circle. I have a bunch of different resources. We actually have a page called the resource page, where all the courses are at. So I can give you a link for that if you want to leave it down below, and guys can go in and check out all the different things we got to offer.